In early to midsummer, we love the smell of blooming flowers, but there's one particular flower that has the most relaxing, refreshing, and recognizable scent, and it's lavender. Walking in the rows of a lavender farm can immediately make you feel calmer as you breathe in this beautiful smell that the flowers exude. Today, we are at Quiet Hills Lavender Farm in Palmerton, Pennsylvania, and we'll be hanging out with the owners of Quiet Hills, Chris and Sherry Anthony, and we will also be learning all about how Quiet Hills plants and harvests lavender, explore the lavender farm and all the cool things it has to offer, like the gift shop and the process of drying farm, planting, harvesting, all of that, and just learning about how this stunning farm is a niche agricultural practice. So today we're going to be experiencing a lot, but come along with me and let's go Agventuring. Hi everyone, I'm Tess the Agriculturalist and welcome back to Agventures. In this episode of Agventures, we'll be touring Quiet Hills Lavender Farm and we will see the behind the scenes of lavender production and the harvesting process as well. We'll also discuss how a gentleman's farm can progress to an emerging business like Quiet Hills. But before we get into it, let's get an overview of Quiet Hills Lavender Farm. Quiet Hills Lavender Farm is a relatively new farm that is family owned and operated by Chris and Sherry Anthony in Palmerton, Pennsylvania. Quiet Hills originated as a hobby farm, but now Chris and Sherry have an emerging business. On Quiet Hills Farm, the plants have had no insect enemies, and during the summer months, the 2-acre lavender field of some 4,000 plants attracts hundreds of honey and bumblebees. Okay, so I'm standing here at Quiet Hills Lavender Farm with Chris Anthony right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about how it was started and how the farm was founded and kind of the backstory. So when was Quiet Hills Lavender Farm established?
Officially, we established in 2017, okay? In 2015, my wife and I purchased this property here. It's a 35-acre, actually it was a retreat for the Mennonite church. So the property was developed, there's a home on it, and we have all this land.
Yeah.
And really didn't know what to do with it. We knew we wanted to do something,
yeah.
In a farming capacity. So I think the first year we were here, we grew vegetables.
Yeah, okay.
A small vegetable patch, I mean, larger than the normal vegetable garden.
Right.
We've realized pretty quickly that growing vegetables was very water intensive. We really don't have irrigation here, and to irrigate,
and you're on a hill, so it's challenging.
We're on a hill. We've got like 10 million deer that run around here.
Right.
So it made it really hard to you have to invest in fencing, you'd have to invest in irrigation. Just didn't seem like a good match. So as far as the lavender goes, my wife said, well, we really should plant something in that field in front of the house, because it was just an open field like this. What you see, that's what this whole area was, right here. So she I think she first said, well, what about this, or what about, I don't remember what it was. And I said, no, the deer will eat that. 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 Yeah. So it makes it really hard to grow something unless you want to put fencing up and so forth.
Right.
Well, then she came up with, what about lavender? I like lavender. Lavender's really nice.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research on it. I'm like, yeah, that might work. So I planted, having a background in chemistry, I applied my scientific method, experimented and planted different bed heights, even with the ground, 2-inch bed height, 4-inch bed height, 8-inch bed height.
Okay.
And then evaluated the plant's performance, both the varieties and the bed height. After a year of growing, we selected the bed height and the variety that did the best. We planted about, I think the first year we planted 1,000 plants. The second year we planted 1,500.
Oh wow!
Then we planted 2,500. The following year, yeah. So 2017 is when Quiet Hills Lavender Farm officially started.
Yeah.
We chose Quiet Hills because that was the name on the sign. There was a sign down at the street that said,
we saw that. Yeah.
Well, that was before. We just kind of used the old sign and kind of made the signposts are really just covered up with this wood. We had a guy come and he did that for us. But the original sign, and we have it, it says Quiet Hills, a Rock Hill Mennonite community, which is for the Mennonite church, right?
Right.
And when we were thinking about the name, we were like, we
nice
like
name.
Quiet Hills.
Yeah, that's a
Quiet
cute
Hills
name.
is a nice name. So we just changed it to Quiet Hills Lavender Farm, replaced the sign, and that's where we were born.
Yeah. The most important part in the life cycle of a lavender plant is the planting process. Not only is it important that the growing conditions are favorable, but it's also important that the plant selected is able to produce the flowers and blooms throughout the desired season. This is where varieties are carefully selected to provide blooms throughout the entire season. So let's go talk with Quiet Hills Lavender Farm team to get some insight on how this process is done.
So we plant in 8-inch high beds. We use a rainflow better layer that's made by Rainflow Irrigation in Effort, I believe. It's a Mennonite. It's a Mennonite.
Yeah, it checks
family.
out. Ephrata near Lancaster.
Yeah. So we use that, and it makes our raised beds when we're opening up a new field. Makes we plow, till, disc. And then run this better layer through it. It makes the raised bed, you can adjust the height and stuff. And then it also lays down the weed fabric plastic that you see. Now we use a woven polypropylene that's UV stabilized, and it's supposed to have about a 15-year lifespan.
Oh, okay.
So it's really heavy duty stuff. I'll let you know. And the oldest stuff we have in the field is like 5 years old, so I'll let you know in about another 10 years if it makes it. I have my doubts.
Yeah.
So lavender likes southern exposure, full sun, doesn't like a lot of water. The deer don't eat it, so it's deer resistant. But weed control is really a big issue for lavender because it doesn't compete with weeds very well. So. I spend most of my time, believe it or not, weeding, keeping the weeds down.
Yeah.
Other than what I just described with making the the rows and stuff, that is the only mechanized part of this.
Okay.
Everything else is hand.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, it's a very delicate flower.
Absolutely.
So when you're planting your crop, is it you and Sherry, or how many people are helping you?
It depends on how many plants we're planting. So the first year it was just my wife and I. The second year we had some friends help us. We don't have any employees here.
Right.
Not a single
just you
employee.
And Sherry.
We're a very young business. So lavender really only has that one disease. Like I said, it's a root fungus, which is fairly common for. What's neat about lavender is it's a shrub above the ground, but below the ground it's more like a tree. It shoots a taproot down.
Oh.
That can be as much as twice the width of the plant.
I did not know
that. Which is
that.
why it's kind of really good at thriving in areas where there's not a lot of water, right?
Okay.
You know,
So kind of like vineyards too, like how they can tap into the underground, so you
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily water
That's
all
right.
the time. Okay.
That's right. You know, and lavender is a Mediterranean plant. It came from Sicily,
I
right?
didn't know that.
And the Romans spread it throughout the Roman Empire because
Okay.
lavender was highly prized for its medicinal properties back in ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
They would put it in their baths, they put it in their water, they put it in everything because
Yeah.
it has antimicrobial properties and it smells good.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, back in the old days when something smelled, they just covered it up, right? I guess we do that today.
Yeah, we still do.
We
now
still
we have
do that.
Febreze though.
We still do that today. We just spray Febreze on it. So the Romans are really responsible for, you know, all of the different kinds of lavender that we have, the French lavender, Spanish lavender,
Right.
English lavender, because they spread it throughout the whole Roman Empire, which is really cool,
Yeah,
actually, when you think
that's
about
actually
it.
really cool history.
As far as secrets to growing lavender,
Uh-oh.
you really, honestly, lavender is an easy plant to grow. It really,
Don't tell them that.
It really is. No. It really is,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why.
That's good though.
Because you don't have to really fertilize it.
Okay.
You don't have to really water it. You don't have to spray it for pests because there aren't any.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real insect pests that will really attack your lavender. You just have to control how much water it gets in its roots.
Okay.
So it doesn't like to sit in wet ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you have really good draining soil, well, no problem.
Right.
You know, if you don't have good draining soil, you might have to amend the soil, or like what we do here is plant on a hill in a
I was
raised
just
bed.
gonna say, yeah, you have a lot of runoff. You don't
So
have
we're
to worry.
trying to get those roots out of the water,
Right.
out of that sitting water. The real trick for growing lavender is location.
That makes sense.
Lavender is a very picky plant in terms of, you know, the things that it does need, and it does need a lot of sun. If you don't have a full sun, and when I say full sun, like right now, it should be getting 10 hours of sun or better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the heat, heat of summer.
Right.
If you don't have that, your lavender's not going to grow. It's going to die pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a shady plant. It needs that full sun. As far as temperature goes, the big challenge that we have growing lavender is making it through our winters.
Mm-hmm.
Lavender does not like the humidity in the summertime, but it also doesn't like cold, windy winters.
That checks out.
The
yeah.
cold winds tend to desiccate the
That makes
leaves
sense.
and kill the plants. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see over here on the north side,
Yeah.
there's some death there that happened.
Some of them were hit. Yeah.
And here you can see where they were hit and it was cut out.
Like the gaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be on the north sides, and that's usually from cold wind.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll be on the south side of the plant. That's from snow melt. Snow and ice will sit on the
okay.
plant. It'll melt during the day
Right.
and then refreeze overnight.
Oh.
And that thawing and freezing can kill the plant. So,
Yeah.
so winters are always a challenge
shock the plant,
Pennsylvania. Growing lavender, it's not a native plant to Pennsylvania. So
Right.
it can be a challenge to grow lavender. Selecting the right varieties and making sure that you give it the best chance of success by giving it the
Right.
right light conditions when it is growing and improving the drainage of the soil. Those are the secrets, really.
Yeah. Well, and there's little bees. They're pollinators too,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So you see a bunch of bees.
Oh, there's
They're good for the environment surrounding, at least.
hundreds, actually probably thousands of bees in this lavender,
Yeah.
in the lavender field
There's
right
one
now.
chilling on my leg.
Is there really?
There was earlier.
Yeah, no, there are, and there's bumbles. There's we do have this year here. We put a honeybee hive up.
Oh, that's nice,
On
yeah.
the farm, it's just down in between
That's
those
good.
pine trees there.
Encouraging like the ecosystem. That's really good.
So, you know, we had the intent of harvesting lavender honey at some point, but not this year. We have to let the hive grow.
you gotta let me know.
So.
After the different varieties of the lavender crop are planted, the next step would be harvesting. This step is carefully executed so that Quiet Hills Lavender Farm can utilize their crop for whatever product they will be using these cuttings for. So let's go take a look at what this process looks like and maybe harvest some to take home.
So when it's time to harvest, we typically harvest our lavender when the lavender flowers. The flowers are they open up from the bottom and open upward to the peak, to the top.
Right.
So we usually harvest any time when the we won't harvest until at least half of the flowers have opened.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's early in the morning yet, so the flowers do kind of close back up at night.
So none of these. So if
Right.
you
So
look
this isn't ready to
Right.
harvest. This flower
Let me
here.
find one for Jason so he can see. So this one here
Yeah.
would
here.
it be ready?
Here.
Or this one too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This one's not ready to be harvested, but we just harvested it. So I'll put it in my pocket.
Yeah. So, and then sometimes if you wait too long, you get something that looks like this. And here, you can see the brown,
Right.
right? That's a spent flower. Okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm spent
So this flower here is already half spent.
Yeah, so
See,
you can't
because
do
it's half
anything
brown.
with that.
We can harvest it, but it's not as attractive, and people don't want to really buy this flower.
Yeah.
However, all of these flower buds still have a lavender essential oil in them.
Oh, okay.
So they're still usable. We
So you
can
can
still
still use
harvest it,
that.
dry it. It's just a different level of quality, if you follow what I'm saying.
Right.
So this wouldn't be floral quality.
It wouldn't be like in a wreath.
Exactly. Right. Or it wouldn't be,
an
in an
arrangement.
arrangement or something like that, as opposed to this one here, which
Such small,
is
cute flowers.
open and there's not a lot of spent on there. See it?
Yeah.
As opposed to that. See? When you go to harvest, harvesting the lavender, like I said, selecting the right time to harvest is important.
So it's not like depending on like the month or whatever. It's depending on where that plant is at with the flowers.
right? Because
Right.
even on this plant, there are some flowers that haven't opened yet.
Right.
You see,
And other ones are going to town.
and there's some here that are just about spent. So you have
Right.
to find that right time to harvest. And even in one row, you might have one plant that's ready to go and another one right next door that's maybe a week behind.
Right.
Just depends. So it's a very subjective decision that has to be made when you go to harvest.
Right.
It's not like, okay, it's
I'm just
July
gonna do this
1st, it's
whole
time to
row.
harvest,
Yeah.
I'm going to do the whole row.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Even up there where I had done some harvesting already, I left some flowers on the plant because they weren't ready.
Well, and it's not like other farms we've done Agventures with too, where like they plant a whole row at once. Everything's kind of simultaneously. You're ready to go. It's like, if there's damage, you have to go back to that plant,
That's
plant
right.
a new one. So it's
Yeah.
not like that.
Well,
So it makes sense.
And it's different because this is a perennial,
right.
which probably most of the farms that you're going to see, they're not planting perennials. They're planting annuals that they have to replant every year, whether strawberries or well, not blueberries, but strawberries or corn or wheat or tomatoes
yeah.
or whatever. So you get a different, you handle it differently because it is a perennial. So harvesting the lavender, the first thing you got to do is you got to get rid of the bees. If you don't, you're going to get stung. I mean, they're not actively going to come after you
Unless you're on their
unless you squeeze them. Yeah, and that's what happens if you don't get rid of the bees. You'll grab a handful of lavender to cut,
Yeah.
and you squeeze them, and then they sting you. I use this Hayde tool. It's just a serrated sickle. And the reason I use that is because it allows me to cut the lavender very easily. And number two, it also allows me to shape the plant after I cut it or while I'm cutting it, so I can eliminate a step of pruning later in the season. To keep a lavender plant healthy, you want the lavender plant to go into the winter in a nice ball shape.
Okay, that makes
That'll
sense.
improve the airflow. It'll improve the ability of that lavender to survive the winter. So basically all you do is you just go in. Oh, so to get rid of the bees, I just go like this. And they go away. Yeah, now there's one that dropped down there.
Peaceful.
See him? See him down there?
Uh-oh, he's trapped.
He'll come out, and then he goes away, right? Right. So wherever I want to cut, I just do that, and then I just grab a handful, and now I'm cutting just above the green leaf growth. You can see the green leaf growth here?
Yep.
I'm just cutting pretty much right above that, and I get a good handful, and I...
Oh, wow.
And
Okay, so you really commit. Oh my gosh, can I hold this?
That's it. There you go.
Wow.
That's how...
Some of them are spent, but they're pretty still.
Yeah. And then we just use these totes, these stackable plastic totes.
Yeah, that's like perfect
totes
size to do that.
To put the product in, and then that product will be taken to an area where we'll bundle it and get it ready for drying. So when we have our full harvest in, we'll have this and that full.
Oh.
Then by Christmas time, that will be down because we put Christmas trees up in the corners.
Right.
And then we'll just have this until we start harvesting the next year.
This smells amazing.
So what you'll see is as the lavender dries, it goes from that bright purple, light purple color to more of a dark blue.
Right.
And the buds close. And then as time passes, it'll actually turn more of a grayish color. This is actually lavender from last year.
Yeah, you can kind of tell it's very
and it's
gray.
Grayish color. So what do we do with that? That'll get ripped down as we replace it with, this is new harvest here.
Exactly, yep.
Okay, you can see the new harvest.
And that little guy right there.
And yeah, that's a super blue one. So that's an English lavender.
Yeah,
And actually
okay.
that's an English lavender from last year.
From last year, and it's still that blue?
Yeah, because that's a different kind of lavender, so
Right.
it has that darker, more pigment in it.
Right.
This is the phenomenal that we were cutting in the field
Yeah,
today.
you can tell it's long.
So, and this is what it, after hanging here for a year, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
So now what do we do with this? Well,
Right.
because this is what's left of our crop from last year. So we'll pull that down and we'll debud it and we'll distill oil. And that's what we use for distilling oil for this year. So we'll probably get maybe, just looking at what we have there, we'll probably get maybe quart and a half, 2 quarts of oil.
Okay, that's a lot. That's still a lot though, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a lot of work.
Right, yeah.
to get that much oil. Yeah, that's what we do with what's left over, at the end of the season. And then we'll fill it, like I said, we'll fill in the ropes with the new harvest here.
And so it's hanging, you have like paper clips?
Yeah, it's really high tech, yeah. The paper clips do a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, they look very nifty.
Yeah, and as far as we do use a special rubber band. Mm-hmm. It's a UV stabilized.
Around the bunch.
Around the bunch, and what happens if you use just traditional rubber bands, they'll kind of get like that dry rot, and then they break, and then you wake up in the morning, and you come down, and there's like 3 bunches of lavender laying all over the floor, right?
So you learned how to,
So we started using a better rubber band, or higher quality rubber band it's more UV stabilized.
And then for the longer bunches you use too.
Yeah, it just depends on how big the stems are and stuff.
Also, another really cool thing here at Quiet Hills Lavender Farm is their lavender shed, where they house a lot of cool, unique products. So let's go talk to Chris about what those products are and how they choose the products that they want in their shed. So what is like your best seller or your favorite item that you guys have?
I mean, just fresh cut lavender is always popular. We sell fresh cut lavender, we sell dried lavender, we sell sachets with dried lavender buds in them that people use as like car fresheners
Oh,
closet
yeah, that
fresheners
sounds
and stuff like
good.
that. With our lavender that we grow here on the farm, we sell wreaths. We make wreaths and sell them. Of course, we can only make the wreaths when the lavender's fresh cut. With the lavender we grow, it's very difficult to make wreaths with dried lavender. They just crumble and fall apart.
Yeah.
This year here in February, my wife and I went and took some coursework to learn how to make cold processed soap.
Oh, okay.
So we just started making this year. This is new for this year.
Yeah.
We started making our own handcrafted soaps. It's a goat's milk soap that's has a blend of vegetable oils, olive oil, coconut oil, soybean oil, and castor bean oil at the right ratios, with goat's milk as the super fat to give it that that real creamy, rich, moisturizing capability and so forth properties, and then we of course use essential oils to give it the scent. Some of our lavender oil is used in that, and we also use different for different blends. So we'll have like lavender mint, lavender lemon, lemongrass. Lemon and lavender really go well together.
Yeah.
So my wife is really kind of going off on making different kinds of soaps.
That's
which is really
good.
neat.
Yeah.
And they're very rustic looking, but nice. They're really nice. Everything in there has lavender in it in some way, shape, or form. So there's different lines of products that are made by other manufacturers or other farms that contain lavender. Different beauty care products. We have the Indigo Wild line, which is Zoom. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they make a whole line of different kinds of cleaning and care products and
so
beauty
just
care
products.
products.
Those products in the store, yeah.
And then we also partnered with a local ice creamery in the area here, and we literally just 2 weeks ago we started selling lavender flavored ice creams.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
And it's a really creamy, gourmet, rich, creamy kind of ice cream with different lavender scents and flavors that we've kind of put together.
Yeah.
And there's my favorites are the lavender lemon cookie. It's really good. But there's lavender coconut, lavender blueberry, lavender lavender honey. They're all very tasty, and they've been very well received here on the farm.
That's really good.
So, like I said, we cram a lot in a really, really small gift shop, but our plans are hopefully this fall here we'll get under construction for a barn that will allow us to expand our gift shop. This is a growing endeavor.
Right, so it started out as a hobby farm.
That's right.
And for people who are interested in hobby farming, it is just very inspiring to take a look at your farm and just see how it has grown and how people who are interested in farming and don't necessarily have agricultural science background can, you said you have chemistry, but can still read up on it and grow to something like this, which is phenomenal.
I mean, our intention for the agricultural part of things, for the fields and stuff, is actually to populate this entire hillside with lavender.
Right.
We have a 15-year plan I have a 15-year plan for that. I have the field broken up into 2-acre plots, and we just started on our second 2-acre plot, planting it last year. So that's the field that you see right in front of you here. So, by the time hopefully the 15-year plan is, by the time I get to that end, I probably will have to come back to this end here and redo that, because the lifespan of the lavender plants is about 20 years.
So do you have any advice or anything you would like, to give someone who's interested in starting? Because I know I would love to start my own gentleman's farm, hobby farm, and just looking at what you've built, and do you have any advice for any viewers out there who are interested in that?
Number one, and this is my wife speaking, so I'll just throw it out there. My wife is a big dreamer.
Yeah, I love that.
So dream big, really, honestly. And then marry somebody who will marry somebody or partner with somebody who will
Right.
bring your dreams to fruition. And that's kind of like the partnership that my wife and I have.
Right.
You know, she comes up with the ideas. I'm not.
Well, and that's like this whole interview we've been talking to you, but like
Right.
Sherry's also a huge person.
And
in this.
she is, but she really is the dreamer, and she's really the idea
That's
person
so
behind
cute.
this. And then, you know, I kind of try to make it happen.
Right.
And that's my role in it. And you know, okay, I do a lot of the work, but you know, in the field and stuff. But
She's the planner.
but she's the person who really came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And I just kind of started running with it.
Yeah.
As far as like doing like a gentleman's farm or hobby farm, or you know, and taking it to the next level,
Right.
really you have to be really selective about the crop that you pick. Lavender is a cash crop.
Right.
You're not going to get, you know, you're not going to be able to do this selling tomatoes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's just number one.
Yeah.
People don't want to come see a field of tomatoes.
Yeah, like being mindful about what you're choosing.
Right.
To
You,
grow
you have
and
to
the
be.
space you're in.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful about what you pick. You know, for the acreage that you want to do and the amount of effort and time and
Yeah.
work that you want to put into it.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's so much work. So you have to be willing to either do it yourself or hire people to do it for you.
Yeah.
And you have to make that commitment. But
Yeah.
you know, location is the most important thing with growing lavender. That's for sure. And you need a good spot.
Yeah.
You can't grow lavender everywhere in Pennsylvania.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
All right. Well, thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. I feel like you answered all our questions. Thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
We had a beautiful day here at Quiet Hills Lavender Farm. We definitely learned a lot about how Chris and Sherry Anthony not only grow their lavender, but their business. I know I definitely learned a lot, and I hope that you guys also learned a little something about lavender farming too. But I also hope this video showcases how agriculture can be rooted in anyone's life that is interested in starting their own hobby farm or just experiencing and learning about agriculture. Anyways, a huge thank you to Chris and Sherry Anthony for taking the time to be a part of this Agventure and just providing a lot of cool insight into what it means to be a lavender farmer. And also thank you to Quiet Hills Lavender Farm for allowing us to record, edit, and post this video to YouTube. And finally, a huge thank you to all of you out there for watching this episode of Agventures. Remember, if you like this video, please feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you enjoy this type of content on the channel, remember to subscribe to Agaholics and ring the bell for notifications for when new videos are posted to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to go outside today. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's really bad. Is this gonna stay? No.
Hi.